Hmm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Was It Good? My name is Bob, and yesterday I got to finish the brand new show over on Netflix, Three Body Problem. This is a show that was inspired by the novel of the same name and is from Alexander Wu and the creators of Game of Thrones, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Now, when I heard that Benioff and Weiss were coming out with a sci fi show, I got to admit I was a little skeptical. I mean, after all, they did give us the great TV show that was seasons 1 through 6 of Game of Thrones.
And winter is coming.
But they also gave us the lackluster season 7 and the god awful season 8.
All hail Bran the Broken.
Ugh. So I decided to keep an open mind on this one. And then I saw that the show was the number one show over on Netflix. And so I went and checked out the trailers and thought it looked kind of interesting. So I decided to go ahead and see the show, and I'll let you know what I think about it. But before I do, let me go ahead and point out that there might be some minor spoilers as I get into some plot details. I'm going to try to keep those at a bare minimum and not say anything that's not in the trailers, but there might be a couple of things that come out. So if you want to see the show first, go ahead and check it out and then come back and watch this video. If you've seen the show already, go ahead and leave your comment in the comment section below and let me know what you thought about it. If you disagree with what I thought, that's fine. It's okay if we disagree, but when you leave a comment, let's not be disagreeable. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to the review. I thought the plot was pretty good overall, and I found it to be very engaging. The story begins in the 1960s in the country of China when a young woman makes a fateful decision to respond to a message from space. The decisions lead to consequences that reverberate across space and into present day. When the laws of nature inexplicably unravel, a tight-knit group of brilliant scientists must join forces with an unflinching detective who's investigating several strange deaths within the scientific community in hopes to save humanity from its greatest threat. Now, somebody who's watching from the outside, once you find out aliens are involved, you know that this is probably not going to go very well. Because for every good alien you find,
Excuse us, Martians?
there's an equally dangerous one.
Prepare a tear harness.
So I was curious to see where the plot was going to go with this one. And like I said, it introduced some very interesting ideas and concepts. One of the ideas is, of course, is life out there? And then how would communicating with this life occur? Because we're not exactly talking about making a phone call here.
ET phone home.
There's also the idea, if there is life out there and we reach out to it, is that a good idea? Because after all, some of that life might not be very friendly. So there's that problem. Also, there's this idea, is humanity even worth saving? Or have we become too bad of a species? In fact, you see several characters wrestle with this idea, and some even embrace this idea. So I thought that was kind of interesting. One of the things also that was unique about this particular show is that when it comes to a first contact story or an alien invasion type story, this is very different from all the others. Often we see that the invasion occurs and we see humanity come together.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
In fact, you find out that the invasion's not going to happen for centuries down the line. And because of that, the show asks the questions, are you going to just sit back and not do anything because after all you're going to be dead, or are you going to actually do something about it? And if you do, are you making ethical decisions in order to protect the planet? And that idea gets explored specifically in one particular episode that I thought was very well done. Also, I think the show had some very interesting characters and plot lines with these characters. And I like the world building, and I thought the overall build up for the story was done very well. Now, even though I say that there were some interesting characters, there were some that I didn't like very much, and this was amongst the Oxford Five. This was a group of physicists that were a tight-knit group of friends. My understanding is that they were actually based on one character, and it was kind of split into five. Now, one of the characters I liked a lot, but the others, there were different reasons why I couldn't get into them. One, we didn't really spend a whole lot of time with one of them, and then the other three, they just fell flat to me. Even though I thought they had some interesting storylines, I just found them to be kind of flat. And that might have been because they split one character into five different roles. So that was a bit of an issue for me. And the other problem that I found with the plot was that it did take a while to get going. I'm not going to lie, during the first 3 episodes, I was just asking what the heck is going on. I couldn't figure it out, even though I was very intrigued by what was happening. It just wasn't making sense to me. But once it all finally came together, then I finally was able to figure it out. But because of the slow start, yeah, it was a little tough to follow at first. Overall, though, the plot was good. I thought the acting was pretty good overall, and I didn't really think that there was a bad performance. In fact, I thought the acting was borderline great, and there were several standout performances. The first one is Benedict Wong as Da Shi. He is our detective, and I found him to be the most relatable character, as he seemed to be carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, and I just enjoyed every time I saw him on screen. The character of Yi Wenji, she was played by Rosalind Chow and Zine Sheng. Forgive me if I pronounce those names wrong, but these two actresses played this character at different points in her life, and I found them to be very believable to be playing her at those specific points, and I believed them both to be the same character, so I thought they did a really good job. Jess Hong as Jing Chen. She was the most interesting character of the Oxford Five, and I thought she put in a very great performance. And she got some very good character moments with the next character I'm going to talk, or the next actor I'm going to talk about. Overall, she did a great job. And my favorite character and actor throughout the show was Liam Cunningham. He plays Wade. This is the head of the government organization that is charged with defending the planet from this alien threat, and the manner in which he decides to go about doing it and the way the emotions that he portrays through that, also his interactions with Jin, those two things are what make his performance, I think, the best throughout the show. He was easily my favorite character. The rest of the cast I thought was fine to good, and so overall I thought the acting was pretty good. I think the look overall is pretty good. Now you do get some bad CGI, but with this show, as opposed to some other Netflix series, you can actually explain some of it away because of the context in which it's used. And I actually think there's some very good CGI. In episode 5 in particular, there's several things that occur and there has to be several CGI shots. And I think that that looks pretty good. In fact, there are some shots throughout the show that make you just go, oh, and you get those kind of Game of Thrones moments that are kind of shocking. And the CGI is used very well throughout some of those. Overall, I think the look is fine. It's better than most Netflix shows, and you can tell that they did put some money behind this. I found this show to be pretty entertaining overall, especially after episode 3 once it got going. Now, don't get me wrong, it was intriguing during the first 3 episodes, but once it really got going and I really began to understand where it was going, then I found myself enjoying it much more. Now, was it good? Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good show. If you like good science fiction, I recommend that you check it out. I think Benioff and Weiss did a pretty good job with this show, especially after the train wreck that was season 8 of Game of Thrones. So overall, I was pleased and I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going. I hope it gets a second season. Now, if you're still with me right now, I'd like to thank you for watching this long. Go ahead and hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next review.